Hello, I'm Emilian Saint-Hilaire, and in this video I want to do a review of 2021 for MeshCentral. So the last year has been pretty wonderful for MeshCentral. Lots of new features, contribution, and a lot of improvement to the software. And so I want to take a look at just a couple statistics and then go through the MeshCentral blog for the last year, and so the last 12 months, and take a look at the key features, the key big things that have occurred this year. So let's first go into a few slides. I've took a look, I've basically exported the NPM downloads for MeshCentral. And so 2017, it was less than 100,000. And now we're hitting over 350,000 downloads on NPM. Now, I think last year there was definitely a COVID bump. People were rushing to get remote management solutions, and also we're not done this year. We're the 17th of December as I'm recording this. So this is year to date right now, so it will go a little higher. And by the way, this is not the only place where people download MeshCentral. The other big one is Docker Hub, and actually if you look at Docker Hub really quickly, there's almost more downloads there than there are on NPM. So that's pretty incredible. On GitHub, the top graph is contributions. And so, compared to 2018, 2019, contributions have gone up. And you can see the number of commits here in the last few weeks, and that's been wonderful. And then the number of views on GitHub, over between 200 and 600 per day. So that is pretty incredible. And if I pull up the MeshCentral.com website, here actually what I'm going to do is pull up on GitHub. You can get those same statistics. You go to the MeshCentral repo, you click on Insights, and you can see the contributions and all the contributors right there that are also assisting in making MeshCentral really wonderful. So thank you to all of that. You can click on traffic and see GitHub, Git clones, visitors, and so on, and also where they come from right here. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, another thing that's changed this year is the addition of the MeshCentral.com webpage. It used to be that this was the login page for the public server. This has now been hidden under this button there. And so now the MeshCentral.com is basically the main portal for MeshCentral. And recently, I did add a few icons here for new things we support. But from this site, there is the blog site. And this is the main part of the video here. I want to go through the last 12 months of blogs. And so, obviously in December here, the last blog I made was on IP-KVM support or Raritan devices. Now, this is super, super nice if you are a large corporation that has a lot of these IP-KVM boxes all over your server racks, and the ability of MeshCentral to deal both with agents and with IP-KVM is pretty wonderful. And so that has been pretty crazy. Obviously not for everyone, but for people who own server closets with plenty of Raritan products, that is wonderful. Then let's see, during the month of November, we had two blogs. One was, of course, that we got more than 1,000 stars on GitHub. So that's I think, a pretty big milestone for any open source product. So thank you very much for that. And also, somebody on GitHub asked for Telnix as a new SMS provider. That was added. Sendmail support was added. There's a bug that was fixed in SAML so that now you could have multiple domains, and each domain would have its separate single sign-on provider, or you can have the same single sign-on provider, but you'll need a separate configuration for each domain. And so that's been done. And then we have a whole bunch of other fixes, including, for example, the auto accept on the consent for assistant. And plenty of other stuff. So that was that, and in November also, PostgreSQL database support. And this is the 5th database that MeshCentral supports. The really nice thing about having a lot of database support is that MeshCentral allows you to deploy it with your current environment. So if you have maybe you're using Nginx as the reverse proxy, you're using a very specific database that you've already deployed in your back end. Well, the more databases MeshCentral supports, the more MeshCentral can adapt to the back end of whoever. Then let's see, streaming, record playback. In the past, you had to download the session recording, and then you could play it on the viewer. Now it's all done, one shot, you click it, and it streams and plays it on the player. So that was really nice. And then there's these pre-typed text messages. There's a new mesh router command, and MeshCentral Assistant had this new thing where you could, let's see, what was this? Design, I forget what this is, but we're just doing MeshCentral Assistant improvement. So that was November. Let's see, October, what did we have for October? Oops, more posts. So we had, I think 2 for October, is that right? Oh well. So we had, obviously 22,000 downloads in October. Now we're way past 30,000 views on the YouTube channel, and more bug fixes. This one I really liked. If somebody connects a session to a remote device and you're an administrator, you can click on a little blue dot, see what sessions are currently connected to that device, and now there's a little garbage can and you can click on it and remotely disconnect them. So that's kind of fun and useful if you need it. Also, email notifications of device power changes. Now, that has been requested for a while. You want MeshCentral to be able to sometimes monitor devices if they go offline. You want to be notified with an email when that happens. Now, the nice thing is the feature was built so that at most you get one message every 5 minutes. So MeshCentral will kind of pile up all the notifications it has to send you and send you one message and then start piling up again. So you don't get flooded with emails. This, I can see people who are running Bitcoin farms or stuff like that. They want to get an email notification when a computer goes down, and so that would be super, super useful. Otherwise, a whole bunch of other features here and improvements. So that was October 21st. Then I went on vacation during the month here, so I visited a bunch of national parks, and we had a whole bunch of other stuff here. Let's see, traffic accounting. That's another one in October that was I think pretty significant, and that's that. I wanted to generate better reports of who's doing what session, to what device, so that people who are doing billing or have to account to customers in the future, monthly, for example, who did what, where. Now you could go and click on reports in the My Event tab and kind of have pretty sophisticated reports. Also, you could see which user is sending and receiving a lot of data. So if you are paying for traffic on MeshCentral, that was an important feature to just know who's using a lot of traffic. So that was the reporting. I thought that was pretty cool. And there's a whole bunch of tricks to split the bits coming in and out if you have the multiplexer turned on and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. September, let's see. September, we had 2 more blogs. I'm going to go very quickly here, but that's the start of the reporting. Let's see, September 10th, more reporting. And then we had the SSH support in MeshCentral, with the keys and SSH keys. That was quite significant. Like MeshCentral has a built-in SSH client when you enable it, and you can SSH to a remote device even if you have no agent installed on it. And it's not just SSH, the entire file tab also works. So it's, the terminal tab and the file tab will use SSH to display the files and allow upload and download and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty crazy. And then lots of little improvements on the UI. People have been asking this a lot. When I disconnect from remote desktop, I want to be able to lock the remote machine automatically. So yeah, the lock on disconnect, or you can, when you are connected on a remote desktop session, you can right-click on the disconnect button and say disconnect and lock, and that will lock the remote machine on both Windows and Linux. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that was September, SSH, auto lock, stuff like that. And then let's see, we have August, where we had 15,000 views. Of course, we doubled that in the last month. And then improvements in internalization. I do want to say something. There's been wonderful contributions into translating MeshCentral into other languages. So thank you to everybody who's doing that. Oftentimes, if you do it, I ask if I can publish your name on Twitter and stuff like that. So that's kind of a small reward I give to people who help translate MeshCentral. But really, everybody can do it. So yeah, so August, we had a bunch of other features. Let's see, tagging. One of the fun parts was WebP support. So now, of course, that was only for the Android agent. The other agents don't support WebP, and the reason is Windows doesn't have WebP encoding, and I don't want to bloat the agents with a WebP encoder. But at some point, this may be interesting to look at. And of course, if Windows supports WebP in the future, of course, we'll add it right away. But it does provide the same quality remote desktop at somewhat like half the size of JPEG for transmission. So that's pretty cool. Also, another one that I really liked is the ability to select multiple files on the remote computer and compress them. So you have a directory you want to download, you can select the entire folder, say compress, it will create a zip on the remote side, and then you download that zip. I thought that was like a super useful thing. Device tagging has been improved with the existing tags. Just a whole bunch of crazy stuff we've added. Let's see, July, we added the Android agent on the Amazon App Store. I haven't tracked that very much. I don't know what's going on there, but I should go take a look. Also, the web movie, you can, WebM, you can take a recorded session and convert it, if you're using Chrome, into a WebM movie. And so that's pretty fun. And so it's a way to export the recorded session. And let's see. Also storing RDP credentials. We store SSH credentials. We don't do it for VNC right now, but that's been a really nice addition here. And also, this was fun. Somebody was asking, the dialog boxes on the website, can you click and allow movement of them? So we added that this year, and that was pretty fun. Let's see, Assistant. Yeah, Assistant. So this is in June. This was, I think, the introduction of MeshCentral Assistant, which is instead of having an agent that you run in the background, this is a piece of software that you run, that the user runs in the foreground on demand when they need help. And I've personally used it to help other people. You can customize it with your own logo, so when you connect, it pops up the logo you want. And yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful. So yeah, I think Assistant has been really great. Let's see, signing. Oh yeah, it's code signing. So open source binaries are signed now. Finally this year, I was able to get, or I purchased another open source Authenticode certificate, and I started signing the MeshCentral installer, the Mesh Commander, MeshCentral Router, the Assistant. The one thing I do not sign, though, is the agent. And the problem is the agent is just such a problem. It can be used for evil. A lot of antivirus software, don't like it. And so if I sign it, the problem is the certificate, I get it revoked immediately. So that's why I don't do that. MeshCentral Assistant I do sign, but that's because there's user consent always required. You either have to initiate the session, or if you keep the session always on, user consent is always turned on. So when an administrator tries to take control, the pop-up box will show up. And so because it has user consent or user initiation always enabled in Assistant, then I do sign that piece of software. But yeah, Assistant has been like really, really crazy, really nice piece of software. And so like mid-year, we kind of had that. And of course, the nice thing about Assistant is we also had lots of customization. The other nice thing is this year, we started adding profile pictures. So you can go to my account in MeshCentral, click on the picture and set your own profile picture. And then that one shows up in Assistant. It also shows up on the Android agent when you connect. So that is really cool. It's really nice to see if somebody receives support from you, that you have a nice picture popping up. That's a really nice way to to kind of build trust a little bit. So anyway, local device support. Yeah, that was mid this year, and the ability for MeshCentral with this new device group type to basically connect to devices on the local network with VNC, RDP, SSH, and to do it with no agent. I think that was pretty cool. The MeshCentral router, we added support for that on the local network. I mean, that's been a lot of work, but really, really cool. Also, more traffic accounting, figuring out how much traffic is going in and out of the server and what type of traffic is generating those bits. So yeah, a lot of really fun stuff. And of course, a fun one on this month here, which was the ability to flash the light and to vibrate the phone on a remote device. Yeah, really kind of fun. Let's see, April, we're coming towards the beginning of the year. Login tokens, yeah, that was a big one. So you can go into my account and you can generate a login token, a username and password that's used, that can be used by automation tools. So if you're using MeshControl or stuff like that, or MeshCentral Router, instead of giving your actual username and password, you create this token, and the token basically serves as a username and password for your account. But the nice thing is, if you log in using that token, you cannot change the password, delete the account, change any account settings, the image, or stuff like that. So it kind of is a little bit restricted, and you can deny it at any time. Anytime you can go and say, revoke the token, and it won't work anymore. And so I thought that was pretty good. Also, for security perspective, that was a really nice one. Seeing all your previous logins, super important to see if anybody's trying to get into your account. You can see the details there, and what IP address they're coming from and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. And also, yeah, terminal support on the mobile app. That was a little challenging because there's limited screen real estate. The mobile app has the keyboard, has control keys. You have to kind of fit the entire thing in the UI correctly. And so that came this year, and that was pretty good. So yeah, that was April. Let's see. Oh yeah, push notifications. So yeah, the Android app for MeshCentral got progressively more powerful, not only as an agent, but also as a 2FA, a two-factor authentication. So you got your your MeshCentral, you could click on the button, it will pop up the login verification, you can click accept there. But yeah, that requires push notification from Android, which was like a big deal, a lot of work to get that done. Let's see, new YouTube channel, that's incredible. Let's see, April 6th, this is where the YouTube channel started. And so early on, there was lots of videos that were published, but then we kept the pace and released one new video every Wednesday since then. Otherwise, yeah, improvements on AMT, improvements on the UI, and of course we're keeping up to date on OpenSSL. This is probably not something that's a little undervalued, but every time OpenSSL has an update, we have to release new mesh agents to use that latest OpenSSL, just to make sure everybody is secure and there's no security vulnerabilities present. Let's see, account images. Yeah, that was exciting. That was, let's see, March. I'm very happy with this. And of course, it's in Messenger. Yeah, oh, the other thing is the device multiview. The original multiview had the fixed aspect ratio. The width and the height was all the same for all the windows. But then you have, devices that have multi-displays or very wide or whatever, and so it would get all squished up. And now there's finally a mode that allows basically variable width on these windows. Really makes a difference in how you view these windows. So yeah, that was March. Let's see, AMT security and activation improvements. Yeah, don't talk much about AMT, but that's an important part of MeshCentral's features. It's something that's quite unique to MeshCentral. Not many other remote management solutions have it. And so one of the things that's interesting is that MeshCentral is keeping up with the latest version of AMT. So in this case, AMT 14 had a new system for activating AMT very securely, and so MeshCentral added support for that. And I won't go too much into detail on that. Obviously, if you're into AMT, that's a big deal. You get end-to-end activation of encrypted activation of AMT, which is really, really cool. March 10th was when we added screen sharing into the Android app. The original Android app, when it was first released, did not have screen sharing, and that was added a little bit later. That was quite a challenge for me because I had to learn, not Swift, but the Android programming language to build the agent. And so then I had to work on getting the capture and basically build the entire tiling system and just basically rebuild the entire KVM server with the optimizations and so on Android. But it does work. It's pretty amazing. And let's see. Yeah, and of course, always we add more customization to MeshCentral, being able to add more links, and customizations on the website. Really cool. Now this one, more statistics here. Yeah, this is probably not known much, but you can click on it on your device group and click on summary, and you get like a summary of what devices you have. And then once I added that, then another thing that was important was to be able to filter on those devices. And so there's links here that you can click to immediately filter, for example, all the devices that have their firewalls not active or things like that. Dark mode, yeah, that was pretty cool. And dark mode also on the mobile website. So that was really nice. And then the last 2 months, February, web push messages, let's see, per domain email notification, like lots of basic infrastructure stuff. Yeah, being able to merge, to incorporate a video conferencing website with MeshCentral, that was really nice. Yeah, Firebase cloud messaging. This is one that's interesting too. When we added cloud messaging to the Android agent, one nice thing is it allows MeshCentral administrators to send a message to an Android device, even if the agent is not running on the screen at that moment. So once the agent is loaded, and paired with your server, you can go in your server, even if they're, they've killed the Android app on their phone, you can still go in MeshCentral and type in a message and it will pop up on their phone. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, terminals. Oh yeah, this was one that was fun. Of course, we added this live data graph on the details panel, but then people kept asking, oh, I want the temperature control, all the temperature sensors for my platform. So we added that, and surprisingly, it works on both Windows and Linux. Like the Raspberry Pi, I think, has a temperature sensors, and we added that there. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And let's look at January. In January, yeah, Artic Vault was pretty funny. So of course, this is when we released the Android agent, which was pretty significant. You can use the QR code to pair the Android agent with your server, and then take a look at it and so on. Also, Artic Code Vault. This is a program from GitHub that takes the MeshCentral and prints it on archiving film, and then puts it in a vault in the Arctic North, which I thought was pretty fun. Let's see. And lastly, this was almost completely a year ago. We added, this was we had to basically create two different ways of pushing an agent update. So this is for reliability purposes, and if ever there's a mess up in one of the channels, we can use the other channel to update the agent. So like internally, that's a lot of work, but it was sort of necessary. Also, MongoDB bulk write. I was quite stunned when I saw the performance improvement on this. But basically what happens is that you can turn this option on, and MeshCentral will pile up all the writes and send them as one shot to like one MongoDB operation. And then it will get the OK and then write the next batch. So instead of doing write, OK, and lots of round trips to the database, you have these huge batch of writes or huge batch deletes or batch of reads. And so it just really improved the performance of the server. And there was one time where I disconnected 10,000 devices at once, like just with my testing rigs, and the performance was day and night, like absolutely stunning how much faster the database performance was. Yeah, and the first blog of 2021 was messaging. Yeah, we added messaging, and this is something that's not used much, but there's WebRTC audio and video inside the MeshCentral Messenger. So you can click on the camera icon and pop up your video on the other side. And this uses WebRTC that's built into the browser. Yeah, so that's a quick view. Let's see, that's a quick view of 2021 for MeshCentral. I think it was amazing. I'm looking forward to 2022. There's so many more ideas that people have on GitHub for things to do. I'm a little overwhelmed, actually. There's just no way I can keep up with the requests, but I try as best I can. So wonderful year. Looking forward to next year. Thank you very much. Have a great holiday.